Eurogloom casts shadow over G8 summit. The leaders of the world's 8 richest countries are meeting in Camp David, Maryland, in the US today to discuss a range of international issues, none more pressing than the political turmoil in Greece and the Eurozone crisis. This is the GAP Morning News, also on the programme. Facebook must please investors as well as users. Day 1. The Olympics torch route in Cornwall. And Mamma Mia, ABBA sells 5 million. Good morning, I'm Gary Pendlebury. The leaders of the world's 8 richest countries are meeting in Camp David, Maryland in the US today to discuss a range of international issues, none more pressing than the political turmoil in Greece, as well as the Eurozone crisis. The issue at the heart of the discussion will be whether European economies need a fiscal stimulus to find it growing again. Germany is particularly opposed to any suggestion of governments borrowing more money, while France's new president, François Hollande, has called repeatedly for growth, without giving away many details. Another important subject is Greece, and whether it will be held to the original terms of the fiscal pact despite growing political pressure. David Cameron has said that he intends to use the summit to push for trade deals, particularly between the EU and US. Writing on the Politics Home website, he said the G8 meeting offers an opportunity to free ourselves from the baggage and bureaucracy of past summits and actually get things done. On Thursday, the Prime Minister held a short video conference with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, French President François Hollande, and Italian Prime Minister Mario Monti. A Downing Street spokeswoman said they discussed the priorities for the G8 summit, including Greece, growth, and importance of expanding trade relations between the US and the EU. This will be the first G8 summit for France's newly inaugurated President François Hollande, who may ruffle some feathers after openly challenging austerity measures in Europe during his election campaign. David Cameron will meet Mr. Hollande at the British ambassador's residence in Washington before flying to Camp David. It is the only second time the two leaders have come face to face, and they are expected to discuss the euro as well as the withdrawal of French troops from Afghanistan. Despite representing the left-wing Socialist Party in France, President Hollande insists he has much in common with the Prime Minister and says the major defence and nuclear deals signed by the UK and France in February remain intact. José Manuel Barroso, the head of the European Commission, defended Europe's response to the economic crisis as robust, insisting the EU would maintain its policies without being blind to evolving circumstances. Russia's newly inaugurated President Vladimir Putin will not be attending the summit, sending Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, the former president, in his place. His absence is being seen as a snub to President Obama. The full list of topics to be covered at the summit spans food security for Africa to the nuclear debate with Iran, troop withdrawal from Afghanistan, further course of action in Syria, and North Korea, all the way to climate protection. The countries attending the talks are Britain, Canada, France, Russia, Germany, Italy and Japan, as well as the US, which is hosting the talks. 18 million shares sold in 30 seconds of trading, but in terms of the share price, this was no rocket launch. Facebook shares closed at 9 PM BST last night, only a whisker up of the $38 initial price. There was plenty of warnings in advance that with a launch this hot, investors can get their fingers burnt. It will take time, weeks, maybe months, to see beyond the thought that Facebook moves into uncharted territory. How to deal with China, how to make more from ads without spooking very savvy users, how to fend off the new legal action based on privacy concerns. One reason for today's share offering was to get money to pay for experts and technology to meet those challenges. Facebook has had such a rags to riches Hollywood story, it is easy to think today was the culmination. No, this is just the start. Now, as well as pleasing 900 million users, it must also please investors. Day 1 of the Olympic torch relay will see the torch carried through Cornwall, starting at Land's End at 7 AM this morning. The flame will arrive via helicopter before the first torch bearer, 3 times Olympic champion Ben Ainslie, takes the flame on its first leg of its long journey to London. The flame will be carried past St Michael's Mount before heading through Falmouth and continuing up through Truro, Newquay and St Austell. When it reaches the Eden Project, the torch will be transferred to a lantern before ascending the Rainforest Dome, carried by Ben Fogle, strapped to a weather balloon. The torch will be carried over Tramar Bridge and will arrive in Plymouth, the final stop on its first day. The other torch bearers are Eric Smith, Steve Brady, Tassie Swallow and Vicky Smith. And finally this morning, Swedish supergroup ABBA have just become the 3rd act to sell 5 million copies of an album in the UK. They join an impressive club with the Beatles and Queen with their gold Greatest Hits album. The 1992 album pushed through the 5 million mark, having sold consistently since its release. Only Queen's Greatest Hits and the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band have achieved 5 million sales, according to the official charts company. ABBA dominated the charts with 9 #1 singles after their chart debut in 1974 with Eurovision winner Waterloo. ABBA Gold is just 46,000 copies behind Sgt. Pepper. 1. Greatest Hits, Queen. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles is at 2. Number 3 is, of course, ABBA's Greatest Hits album, Gold. At number 4 in the listings is What's the Story, Morning Glory in 1995 by Oasis, and finally in 2011, 21 by Adele. That's the way your news is looking this morning. The next news is on at 1:15 this lunchtime. The evening news starts at 5:30 and the late news is on at 10 tonight. Meanwhile, from all of us here on the morning team, it's time to say goodbye and thank you for watching.